And we're live! Back again. This is Lit Literature, episode 23, part 2. I don't know how many parts there's going to be or how many episodes, but this is wild and crazy, so we got to talk the end of Oathbringer anyway.
Yes.
Again, this is your host, JP, aka The Demon. And again, we have the Shoutouts crew here with us. From somewhere I never know where.
So, right now, I'm sitting in the ruins of Thalen City with gravel in my hair, and guys, I'm just not even winded. I'm not even winded.
Amazing.
It's the captain.
Yes. We also have...
The Cherry here, Josh, and drinking a very delicious Diet and Honey Jack.
Diet and Honey Jack. Very tasty. And Captain, before we go on, I forgot to ask you, what are you drinking right now?
Oh, the captain is drinking a triple shot of Captain with a splash of Coke.
Ooh.
Very true to his name.
Yes. Captain drinking Captain.
Yeah.
Ben, the man, also drinking Captain and Coke.
Ooh. Triple shot, Ben?
I don't
Cheers,
know. Whatever that is.
A giant glass full?
It's got at least like 4 shots in ours.
Oh, God. This is going to be a fun literature session, boys.
And I'm Brett, the director, coming to you straight from the windy chair of Jeff's living room. Right here. And I'm drinking Captain and... What is that called? Coke.
Ooh.
Drugs are bad.
He's been on a diet, folks.
Crack is whack.
Crack is whack, is what you say?
Okay. This is Aim the Dream, and I have some honey jack
And water.
with ice.
With ice and water, yes.
And a little bit of water.
And your host is drinking wine with a beer glass because the
Look at
stem
that
is
stem.
thicker.
Yeah.
I'm not risking it anymore, boys.
Check out
and
what was
girls.
that, episode 17,
Yeah.
if you want to see why his stem is so thick.
I got warned last episode, and I decided to make the change before it's too late.
Oh, it was so amazing.
All right, folks. So we left off. We were talking the end, basically part 4 through the end of the Oathbringer, and now we need to go to Shadespar and talk the main crew.
The main crew.
The main crew.
But we didn't even really talk about Yasna. I'm really excited about this.
We're gonna get back with Yasna.
Yes.
We haven't talked about the battle yet.
The battle. We gotta
haven't
get
talked
them
about
back.
the battle
We gotta
yet.
get them back from Shades.
We were only talking about the beginning of each character.
That's true, yeah. We need to go and focus on Shadow Dodo.
We gotta get them all together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta get to Shades Mellow.
Now, I forget exactly where we're starting off in this section. Are they just finding out that there's like an army waiting?
Yeah,
at
so they
this
just
entrance?
remember in the last section they waded up out of the soul ocean of beads, and they came up on land or water, depending on where you are.
Right.
And then they see the Oath Gate, and it's surrounded
Just
with
surrounded.
fused.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of Spren.
And a whole bunch of
bunch.
Yeah, there's
Spren,
only
which are like
6
souls.
fused and a whole bunch of
Yeah, dude. So Kaladin thankfully convinces them that this is what they have to do. They got to find a way in, and so they come up with kind of an attack plan. That is interesting.
And all of the army immediately disappears to go take over the minds of Thaddeus' army.
Yeah.
Apparently, they don't need to. They don't need to use
The storm.
oath gates because they're kind of spiritual already.
Well, it was
Odium created
He brought
it.
Yeah, he
them.
brought up.
Yeah,
and then
Used
and
his
then
power.
actually it was cool because when I was rereading it the second time, I caught the section where Kaladin sees all the human flames, and immediately like half of them turn red when Odium possesses Amaran's army. Which, by the way, 2 episodes ago when I was talking about frickin' Amaran and what Dalinar didn't say to him or did say to him and just caused that like tension. Not that it wouldn't have happened and they wouldn't have been possessed. We don't know that, but it definitely added to that.
Well, but it
pack.
seemed that at that point, Amaran had already been talking
He
with
had been in
Odium.
communication. Yeah.
I think, Odium said himself that he's been building this army for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He's been.
Well, I think in
Yeah.
general he meant Alethi, because they all get the thrill.
The Alethi always had the thrill. That's
So
true.
I think he just meant like anybody that gets the thrill was Odium.
And remember, he thought that Dalinar was going to be his champion,
Yeah.
who's the head of the Alethi. So he
Who
basically.
pretty much was getting like owned by the thrill.
Yeah.
So now, do you guys think that before we kind of like in I think book 1, I think it was like when Amaran took the Shardblade from Kaladin and killed off his crew, we assumed that it was him, like, kind of coming against a hard choice because he thought this was best for everybody.
Yeah.
Do you think that was just the thrill now?
Nope.
No.
I think it's still true because that's part of the battle that he has.
That's
with
part of
Kaladin
Yeah.
in the end of the
I agree
book.
with Manny.
It was in their dialogue as
Yeah.
well, while Kaladin and Amaram were facing off.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Kaladin was telling him like, you can't forgive yourself, or you still are looking for forgiveness, but you're not going to get it. He's like, I don't need forgiveness, then why are you still?
And in a way,
But no hurting.
in a way, it's interesting because Kaladin, Amaran took a different path than Dalinar. Dalinar took ownership for his mistakes, and he refused to give that pain. Whereas if Amaran wanted a way to kind of
Justify.
Right.
Amaran wanted to justify
Right.
it, saying,
It wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault. I needed to do it.
Yeah.
I had to do it.
And if you go back a book, or at least to earlier in the book, when we have the Moash chapters, if you remember Moash constantly being, what is going on right now? if we have the Moash chapters, he was always like, I can't do anything about it anyway. Like, he had that mindset,
Right.
and it was the same mindset of like giving into the passion side of it.
But-
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about with
right.
cultivation and Dalinar and everything.
Like right there, that if cultivation didn't give Dalinor's memories back like a month sooner,
He would have fed into it.
He could have easily fallen for that and given all his passion to Odium. And won the champion. So that's like the difference. He was able to prepare for it and then overcome it at the end.
Yeah. And so anyway, when Dalinar fuses the three realms because of his stand-up situation, where he basically falls, and then you see the 9 shadows, and he's going to be the champion after he convinces him to a battle of champions.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because throughout all that memory stuff, he has the book in his hand.
He's holding it.
Yeah, he's holding
Yeah.
the
But
book
it
of
gets
Kings.
struck. It gets struck by lightning earlier, so it's like burnt
Yeah, it's
in
like
his
a
hand. But he's
Yeah.
still holding it.
Well, he
And
was
just-
holding it when he was talking to Odium, and he kept on resisting, and then so Odium struck it with lightning to get rid of the book.
And just from a reader's perspective, I thought it was dangerously close. Like, it felt real that Dalinar literally could be his champion
for
right
sure.
now.
Dude, for real, I was
Yeah.
terrified for a little bit. Especially when they were like, Renarin was sitting there and he's like, my father. And then Yesna was going to kill Renarin and he's like on his knees. And I'm like, oh my God, Kaladin's going to have to kill Dalinar. And it's just the
I know.
champions are going to.
But then when Yasna doesn't kill him, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a chance.
Yes, exactly. He had me on my toes, though. Sanderson had me on my toes. I actually believed it. Like, even though how it ended is how I would want it to end, at least I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
You know how you're watching like an anime or something,
like,
the
no
main
matter
character's
what, they're
always
gonna
safe.
live.
They're going to come out of it. You kind of know.
Yeah.
And this, I was
Yeah.
like,
You don't
we
know?
might
Well, the
lose
thing is
Dalinar.
that there's
Holy
not
shit.
just one main character in this. We're in an anime,
Yeah.
it's always based on one person.
That's true, I
Which
guess.
is annoying.
Yeah.
But that's a different argument altogether. But that's why this book
Story
is
argument,
dope. That's why this book is dope. And it turned out awesome. Like, but I was so terrified for a while. I was like, oh, dude. Brett was talking about it the whole time. He's like, what if Dalinar's the guy who is going to kill?
What if he's
from
the
the
guy?
beginning, he's like, what if he's the guy? And as it turns out, he is the guy that Odium wants to do that. And I'm just sitting there like, as it gets closer and closer, me and Brett kept having those conversations, and I'm just like, shit, it's gonna be him. He's gonna do it.
It's gonna be me.
I really wish that I could talk to Sanderson about like his mindset while writing that scene, because I wonder, do you guys think that Dalinar actually was flip-flopping, or do you think he was resisting the whole time? Do you think he actually crossed over to being on Odium's side sometimes and then fighting back, or do you feel like he was just fighting against?
I think it was really, really close. I think he was flip-flopping.
Yeah.
And I think that Evie's forgiveness of him was the turning point. That set him straight.
Oh my gosh, Evie.
And then how dope was it that he was able to reach into Honor's power straight up?
Yeah.
And basically just
Unite the three realms.
The physical, the cognitive, and the spirit realm.
And I have to say, although I'm not 100% convinced of it now, for a minute there, I was thinking, because he says it, he hears it, before he does that, unite them. he unites the 3 realms or the realms.
Yes.
So that's when I was saying, I was thinking like, well, maybe the unite them is he's supposed to be uniting like universes, or he's somehow going to bring together a larger thing to fight the evil that can potentially affect all of them, which is odium.
Yeah.
You know?
Interestingly, I also think he might have to unite them in order to do damage to odium, because even if they have a battle of champions, that just means, based on their agreement, odium leaves him alone, kind of.
Gets a chance later.
But that doesn't mean that he's disappearing, and so I think that they won't leave.
Does it
there.
affect all 3 realms?
Right.
Right.
I think that in order, this is way out there, but Dalinar may have to literally unite them and then uppercut odium. And then, you know what I mean?
And unite probably includes Harshman.
Yeah, I think unite them means like everyone.
I kind of wonder if we almost have like this is a bad comparison, but almost like an Avengers thing going on, where like all of like many of Sanderson's universes could potentially culminate into a one single goal at the end of like these 10 books going into their own thing, their own issues in 20 years when our grandkids are reading the books.
In 20 years, we have a series of movies, and it's just like the Avengers is like one of them, and it's like this kind of like setup movie.
Sanderson better start eating some kale and getting healthy, because this is gonna take a while.
We want him to see that shit. Although he's just a little bit older than us, so we're good. Yeah. Oh, by a little bit, I mean I don't know exactly.
Love chicken.
You love chicken? That's weird. I do too, though. Eating it, I mean. Anyway, let's go.
Right.
Trig, what were we gonna say?
I love chicken. I just said it.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways,
let's get back to the book.
Chickens are void bringers, Manny.
Yeah, when you were united
the 3 realms, I felt like all the Radiants got like
Surge of power.
supercharged.
Well, because there was so much zones around.
Yeah, he reached into the spirit realm and then charged the stones, just like he was the storm.
He did. Like he could charge. I think that's his new power. He could charge Samsung.
It just drains him really fast.
I think when he united the 3 realms, the abilities got easier to use. They became more powerful.
Well, because Shallan made an entire. Well, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get.
Yasna, Kaladin.
Exactly.
Like all of them.
Temporarily.
So let's go into the let's catch up to what Ben's talking about now, because basically what happens is the crew on the outside of the Oathgate in Shadesmar need to get to Dalinar, and first of all the gate refused to let them because of an oath they took with Honor before he died. They won't move men between realms.
And they even want to. They're like, we would love to. But
the other thing is Kaladin's fighting the other fused wind runners.
I wouldn't even say that he's fighting them. He's just distracting.
Yeah, he's distracting them.
And Aladin stabbed.
Adolin gets stabbed in the gut. Now,
or Adolin, either
Adolin.
Adderall gets stabbed in the gut.
Oh, gotcha.
It's funny because Josh said that, and I love Adolin, and yet I followed that for some reason. So that's my own fault. But anyway,
so I loved it when Aladdin made a really short cameo.
No, we're not taking
Shallan,
this
you
way.
ain't never had a friend like me.
So he gets stabbed. I was terrified for a little bit that he might actually die there.
you shit.
But however,
I feel like Adolin is always one step ahead of the fuse.
ahead of the fuse.
No, he's always one step ahead of the Shadesmar.
But Jeff, I was super worried too that Alan's gonna die.
We lost Captain. He's going like that.
And that
was a good one.
I'll bet that she would end up with Kaladin because he died. That was what I was worried.
I was worried about that too. I was like, no,
oh my God,
they're responding.
Don't die.
Dude, all right, so
I was worried that Adolin would not make it to the next round.
all right, so
Although if Kaladin never died, I'd still be sitting here like, nope, not convinced. Book 10. Book 10, guys.
so anyway, something that's cool, right? So they basically lost that battle. They were all about to die.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, by the way, pretty cool that the Spren, because they were in Shadesmar, physically were able to help.
Yeah.
Like Syl actually pulled Kaladin out of the beads. So from drowning.
And Adolin's sword decide Adolin's sword actually jumped on one of the fuse to fight him.
Scratching their eyes.
Dude, how awesome was that when she did that? So the sword goes through, it was about to go into Adolin's head. And then she jumps in front of it, and then it stabs her like nothing happens. And I just had this like horror movie version in my mind, and she's just like screaming and then scratching.
The thing is, though, is that like when I first read that, I was like, yes, man, they're gonna like, she's gonna actually bond.
Revive.
She's gonna like revive and bond. But then there was also a part of me that's like, oh well, the spread on the boat already kind of explained. It's like, she still hates you. She just hates them more.
Yeah.
So then
but honestly, though, I don't
know what to think.
Dude,
now.
they were teasing us so hard because now Adolin like feels what
hears her,
Mia, and hears her.
What hears her voice.
Like hearing and saying, and then when he even handed the sword away, it was kind of like,
And we start to find, so this is definitely leading into something that's going to happen in the next book, but
it better.
When he's
because I put a bread bet on that.
2 spots. One, he's running and he's trying to summon and he's waiting on the 10 heartbeats and he's like 3, 4, 7, come on, and he goes 7, come on, and immediately it gets in his head. And another time, when it's not there, he summons it immediately. He summons it without the 10 heartbeats, and it's described in the book.
I don't think so, because he says that it makes it sound like it's summoned, but I think he says it like, oh, it felt like forever, but it was he had to wait the 10.
I also agree. I read it as well, and I read it twice.
Definitely.
And I was like, Sanderson is hinting that it's coming.
The first one, he said, when he was counting down, he summoned it early, but I don't remember that second one.
It was,
I'd be willing to bet, simply because of the time that they talked to the Stormfather and said, has a dead Spren ever been revived? And he's like, I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible. Like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, okay, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
As it turns out, it's gonna be probably.
But
Adolin.
I think it's gonna be Adolin.
Yeah. And as long as he lives.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Do we want to take a bet on that?
We already did, actually. I
Did
think.
we?
Well, you know what? I think it is going to be Adolin, because Adolin's one step ahead of the Stormfather.
All right, this is amazing. So, I will say it was pretty. The other thing, pretty awesome. So I think he'll be an edge dancer. If he revives
because it's a viney one, similar to Wendell.
Yeah, similar to Wendell. I'm really curious about
and
that.
Adolin does favor wind stance, which sounds like Wendell. So
well, you think he'd be a
also
wind runner.
sounds like Wind Dancer.
Yeah. Wow. So I also have to respect Adolin for his fight against, like, our armorless fight against the what the hell? The Rock. The Rock against Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
The Thunderclaps. Thank you.
No, this is.
the Thunderclaps, aka the Rock.
Yeah.
And by the way, those things scared the shit out of me because obviously that's what a big part of having a shard blade was all about.
Exactly. I thought that was a really cool. I mean, even though it was obvious. Like, it wasn't until they actually, like, said it that I, like, really thought about it. About the idea of, like, these weapons that were meant to destroy much greater things are then just, like, laying around for inequality to occur. You know? And I just thought it was really cool that these weapons that kind of, like, determined kingdoms and determined lineage and determined power are now being used for their actual purpose. These big, huge effing things that are just... want to kill you.
And for anybody that played Breath of the Wild, like, I totally thought of those, like, stone golems that came out, except, like, larger versions of them.
The Talus.
Is that indie game?
Yeah.
Zelda? What?
Breath of the Wild? What's Breath
Zelda?
of the
Zelda.
Wild?
Breath of the
So
Wild.
I think one of the I went back and looked into this, and one of the spots where they're talking about that Adolin is starting to get stronger or get more of a connection is he sneered and loomed at the monster and leaned against the wall of the small home he'd fallen into, pulled himself to his feet. Maya dropped into his hand. So just like, I think this was the spot where they say, like, it just goes into his hand without the heartbeats. Because every single time between, they kept saying, 1 heartbeat, 2 heartbeat, like, oh, he resummoned it 10 heartbeats, and they explain
But don't you think that he would have made a bigger deal out of it?
So
because he's in the middle of a fight, so he doesn't. It's just coming more natural to him.
I think the point.
Fights are natural.
I think the point here is to be unclear.
But it's definitely alluding to it.
It's alluding. I think it is.
I think so too. I think so too. I think I really do believe now that Adolin's sword is going to be the first instance that we know of where
I agree with you.
a spren can be awoken and bound,
revived
on the, and I think that's going to be a really important thing because it's almost like freeing slaves. Yeah. You know, these things are bound. They were like bound by a breaking of oaths.
Yeah.
And
no, they're being bound by a broke man. You're right.
By a broken man that broke oaths.
Oh, man.
No, a broke man. Like, Aladdin is totally broke.
Well, and I think, too, is you need to... right before that, there was a whole scene where they're sitting and he says, like, the thunderclaps, like, trumped and followed him. Its steps shaking the ground. 5, 6 heartbeats. He could hear the stone grinding just behind. He fell to his knees. 7. Maya, he thought, truly desperate. Please. Blessedly, as he raised his hand, the blade materialized. Yeah. So he didn't even get to 8, 9, 10. It just 7. It was there. So, and then immediately after that, he talks that it just fell into his hand. So it almost seems like that there's like some type of I don't know, like physics rule that makes them have to come at 10 beats, but they can come whenever they want.
But it might have to do
and
with
when you have a binding, they come right away because they're aligned with you. Yeah. But maybe that means that the sword was sitting there kind of thinking like, oh man, do I really want to let this go? Is she kind of having a Kaladin moment? Is the dead sword, is the dead spren having a Kaladin moment? Or it's like, oh, F this light eyes, you know? It's just like, oh, fine.
So I was going to say that I think... oh God, Manny just took a terrible picture of me. I think he's laughing his ass off.
We're gonna
post it.
We're gonna put something right there.
What I do?
Anyway, what were you saying?
So I was gonna say I think that
keep an eye on the Instagram.
Yeah. Oh God, don't even. I think that Adolin, the thing that's interesting, or at least not just Adolin, but actually the thing that's interesting when we get to read about the other characters that are kind of starting to bond Spren, is that Spren relationship with the Master is a little bit, it's not always the same. Some of them, like, for example, Zeth's Spren barely ever shows
acknowledges him,
to him.
Like,
not whereas if Kaladin and Syl are, like, super tight, same as Shallan and what Pattern.
What's that? I mean, I thought Zeth's... Wait, maybe I'm getting mistaken.
Sword Mimi?
Yeah, I thought...
Not Sword Mimi.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay. His actual Spren, he even says, he's like... when he swears the third ideal, which is crazy because he went 1, 2, and then third, and when he said he swears the third ideal, he sees the mist coalescing around him, or the snowflakes, or the ice almost. Okay. And he's like the one rare time he's even seen his Spren. I was assuming Sword Mimi, and I was like, I assumed that was Zeth actually being... like ghosting the blade. I thought he was ignoring text messages from him. You know.
Interestingly, there was like a little things in Shadesmar that the type of Spren, they're called honor Spren, that are Skybreakers, that bond with Skybreakers, and that's a derogatory term in Shadesmar because they also think honor Spren they tend to be extreme. Extreme. And that's why even the sailors were like, do I look like an honor Spren to you? Kind of like... Right. Or not an honor, excuse me, a high Spren. I apologize. I was totally mixing up high Spren and honor Spren. But I meant it's a high Spren that caused the Skybreakers. And all the sailors said, do I look like a high Spren? I'm no high Spren. Get off my back kind of thing. And it's because, therefore, when you get to meet Zeth and the other Skybreakers, you're like... oh, damn, they're really
extreme.
Rough. Yeah, they're extreme. And so that's why high Spren apparently are so high and mighty.
Yeah.
Well, talking about the Skybreakers, what was the bet that we had last week regarding them, Andrew?
Oh, the Skybreakers?
Yeah.
All right.
Did we have a bet?
I had several bets written down. That was not the one that I was going to bring up, because this other one also relates to Zeth.
Oh, shit.
Did we have one about the Skybreakers?
Well, we talked about whether Zeth was going to join
we did.
the fight, and if the Skybreakers were going to meld with them, I guess, or whatever.
Well, the actual Brett
Brett
bet that I took down was, will Zeth fight alongside Kaladin? And that was the official Brett bet.
Wasn't it
I don't remember what I bet, so I don't want to argue yet.
The Skybreakers.
The actual Brett bet was will Zeth fight alongside Kaladin?
Did I say yes?
And there were only 2 people who got this correct. The rest of us
Who said it? Who did?
failed.
Me and
The
Jeff.
ones who said yes were Jeff and Brett.
Yes!
I thought so. I thought
The rest of
thought
us
that.
failed. We said that Seth would never fight alongside Kaladin.
Wow.
What was the bet that Brett said he would do what I do? I don't even remember what that was.
So that was another Brett bet, that is answered before the end of this segment.
Is it?
But that has to do with the very end epilogue.
All right,
if you guys
save
want
it for
to
that.
save that one. Yeah. It is answered, but that one's for the very end.
Okay.
We'll save it. We'll save it.
And it's a 2-parter.
And I have some theories.
Maybe
on
that's the
end anyway,
two-parter
so-
one that I was talking about.
All right, so where the hell are we? All right, so anyway, before we get in,
Seth joins the fray.
I thought that last chapter was like a peek into the next book, so I'm like, I can read this later.
Yeah.
Something gets answered in that
Crap.
one of our Brett bets.
No.
Oh,
The last
so
one?
good. The epilogue is really good.
Oh, that's where one of my biggest
Wait.
theories comes out of.
Crap.
You didn't read the epilogue, Brett? What?
I thought it was like one of those in the next episode of Lost type things.
The reason that never happens in these kind of books is because it's going to be 3 years or something before we get to read the book.
I should have known that. I was busy. I was working.
But that's awesome. That's awesome. It's going to be a fun discussion then. Anyway, so speaking of which,
Probably remember as much of it as the stuff I did read. So
Yeah.
we're all good.
yeah, it'll be fine. So
So do the rest of us have to drink, or we have to do push-ups?
well, actually, Captain, we're going to admit our defeat, but we're going to do a full solo episode on our Brett bets.
I like how Jeff said we're going to
okay.
admit our defeat when he's not going to have to drink.
I have to drink several. I've actually been editing them, and I have caught even myself
Well,
wrong. And,
Jeff and Brett won that one for sure.
but I am
the
safe
last
on
one.
this one, which is
If
good.
things keep going the way that they're going, because I've won quite a bit of them, I'm going to have
You've lost some too, though.
I've lost a couple, but not as many. But,
I think I've
Not as
counted-
Manny? Wait, hold on. Why you gotta make this personal?
Manny's
Not as
actually
Manny.
won. Manny's actually won more than I thought. There's quite a few.
Oh,
We've
Manny.
actually lost more than I thought too.
Actually, on the website, I should make
a tally.
tally.
Hell yeah, we're gonna put
A
a definitely
percentage.
put a tally up
You
there.
have to take out all the ones that I did purposefully.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
a good
amazing.
point.
We'll be
No.
like folks. We'll be like the NFL when you're watching Sports Center. It'll be like
Yeah, who's gonna be a part of your fantasy team? Not Manny. I'm sorry.
Unless you want to get lit.
Yeah.
there's an advantage to losing at times. Anyway,
You get
so
to drink.
so right when Dalinar fuses the three realms, our losing posse and Shadesmar make it to the battlefield,
Yeah.
and then we have a dope Avengers moment
Because
where
when he fused them, it created
yes,
Anna's
bridging
Yeah,
ability.
he also
bridged
used
all of
all
them.
the gems
Yeah.
with freaking.
But what was
Stormlight.
it called? That one that's random. He created it
bondsmith?
like the
Dude,
no,
that,
the gate to the other world. Like
Oh.
that one random that shows up randomly in different spots.
Oh yeah, the
Perpendicularity.
what they
It's not the-
perpendicularity.
Yeah.
Yes,
But he
Nice.
created
Good call,
it
Ben.
right there.
Good call, yeah.
And they were able to
good
bridge the
English,
gap.
guys.
yeah,
Yeah, I use that word all the time in my daily English.
Perpendicularity? Yeah.
Ben's like
That's an everyday word that
yeah.
you use on a
Ben
regular
just Ben just
basis.
like sniped somebody and he's like, that was a real perpendicularity. Did I use that right? I don't think so. Never mind.
Yes.
Ben, it's okay. Not everyone can be one step ahead of this step. This one, Father.
Hey, why don't you have
One
a
step
say?
ahead of the step.
I still, I don't know. There is a part of me. Every time I say it, you guys are just like, eh.
What?
So I feel like you have more information than I'm remembering.
What is?
But I really do believe that part of unite them is uniting all this parts of honor. I feel like that he wants to be united to his full form again. I know.
We continue
there's
the
a lot
trend.
of details that I don't remember
The reason
that
I
you
think
guys
that-
remember. So there's probably something that I'm not remembering.
The reason I think that that's
I'm just
not
like,
the
oh
case.
yeah, that's stupid.
The reason I think that's maybe not the case is I think that Dalinar, kind of similar to what Jeff said, is Dalinar is gonna be the new honor.
That was me. I said that.
Oh, Manny.
Okay.
I said that.
Everyone.
I
except
still
for
take
that.
credit for my shit.
I don't
I think it was
personally
Jeff.
think that
I don't
that's
think Manny said that.
necessarily void of.
I even said
maybe-
how Odium said, no, we
Correct.
killed you.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, though, is that when you separate yourself, maybe you need a binding unit to be able to bring those sections together, and he becomes the new honor by uniting them
All
into
the other.
him.
Oh.
So he's already taken in Stormfather, and then he'll take in the next piece, and then he'll take
The
in the next
siblings.
piece.
There's
So
two
I feel like-
Stormfather siblings,
But
but
during that scene in the book, I thought of you when he said that. I'm like, oh my god, is he becoming Anna? Because he was like absorbing all of them, and then it's like, I am unity.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh shit, did this become like a god?
is he becoming honor?
And what's his power? To mold things together, his power, right?
Bondsmith.
He
He
bonds
brings
things
things
He
together.
bonds things together. So I think he's going to find the sections of honor that fragmented himself. They're going to come with a new understanding of what they didn't understand. Why ever
He could.
for whatever
I mean-
reason, honor split himself for
Remember-
whatever lacking there was. I think they're going to have learned that, and he's going to bring them together.
well, remember the
Yeah, it's
Stormfather
good,
has
so, like, Odium.
three. Stormfather has
Killed
two
him.
other siblings.
But by killing him, he could have
Stormfather has two other
Right, he's just-
siblings.
Nobody's paying attention to you.
and he's
bro.
off, and he's got to be.
Okay, guys. Stormfather has two other
Wasn't done
siblings.
yet.
Stormfather has two other siblings, so that is a potential theory.
I really
So.
do believe that. And I hope it's right only because you all look at me like I'm crazy when I say it.
I looked at you crazy.
Everybody but me.
All right.
I looked at you crazy last week. This week I'm like,
It makes a little bit of sense.
All right, guys.
Don't forget the
fall
home
behind.
run that I hit with Spren being fucking
Shardblade?
I thought the same thing. You beat me to that one.
Dude,
but
that
I was
was-
totally thinking the same thing.
Way to
Guys,
jump on the bandwagon.
Jeff already read it, but he totally knew.
Dude, by the way,
You fucking read it before! That was the funniest conversation I know. That was the funniest conversation I had.
I've
I was
already admitted that I forgot
What
that.
what about when I guessed that? You knew that, but I forgot it.
So-
bitch, you still read it.
So
He's
really,
so salty
so
that I
really
win
quick, because
stuff.
there's probably some people that just started on book 3 or when we started doing video. Jeff and Josh had already read book 1 and 2 before we started reading book 3. And Jeff made a couple Brett bets, forgetting that he knew the answer.
It happened.
Forgetting. Maybe you're subconscious, bro.
And he just so happened to be right.
However, I did say that because Josh purposefully countered me in order to make it real. I'm gonna do the shots with the losers on that.
But that's why Josh is like, when I'm like, oh yeah, we should have a tally, he's like, that should account for me having to say things that I didn't believe.
We'll give him a
We'll
tie.
start him at book 3 because that's when the real Brett bets that none of us knew.
That's no fun. Let's just do them all.
Okay, we'll do them all.
I'll take them
Sure.
wrong on that. It'll be fun.
I'll trust Josh to say what he thought when he was first reading it.
He knew.
Yeah.
He did.
No. I mean, first time.
What I would have guessed. Ooh.
Do you remember those? Do you remember what you were thinking? Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about it later. We gotta get it. So anyway, they finally create the perpendicularity, and then our posse gets back to Dalinar, and they get up in like an Avenger manner. They're all like, Dalinar's standing there, Odium's there, Shallan and Kaladin, and then Adolin's bleeding all over the place.
And then
And then Lift is over in the corner
but,
like Spider-Man, like, yeah,
yes.
what's up, guys?
Yesna enters the fray like
Yes,
That is a great interpretation, Andrew. That's exactly how she did it.
I literally just said yes, not 8 times in a row.
What
And I
up?
didn't get anywhere with it. Sorry, folks.
Sorry, go
online.
ahead, buddy.
No, but Yesna arrives, and then also she obviously arrives with Renarin, who heals Adolin, and then Adolin is like kind of shoot off because he's not a radiant. And then we also got.
Yeah.
So then Dalinar's counting the posse, and he's like, "Oh, we don't have everybody yet," and 2 of the heralds start to show up and have this amazing little entrance and then nothing happens of it.
Yeah, that was...
They hid in a corner because, well, they're messed up.
Well, the one guy had a breakdown. He went back to his...
And I feel bad for him because he had just waken out of his breakdown.
First of all, that brings me to something that I thought was probably the best thing ever that happened. Like reading the beginning of the book and hearing about how they left that one herald in damnation. And I thought his reaction was going to be like he was going to be the villain of this book, but totally like blew my mind how he was just like totally cool with it and like, oh my gosh,
they have a chance.
You guys did such a great thing. Like,
like
you gave humans a chance to fight through one of these.
What's amazing is he's the one who shouldn't be with them. He's the only commoner.
Yeah.
Like all the rest were these amazing,
chosen
important people,
amazing,
and he's just this commoner. And they left him there, and he's so amazing to be like, you did a great thing, and Ash is just like, you should hate us.
me.
And what the frick, like, how is this possible?
What
and
an
like,
amazing
look at what
character.
you've done to him. And
he's gonna do more back. Oh yeah, he's gonna be doing so much more. I can't wait for him to come back.
How awesome he is gonna be.
And it's scary. Agreed. It's scary to think that in the Desolations we were getting wiped out so hard in so many years in a row that we were losing all of our technology. And now
every couple years, even
now they think because of that 4,000-year gap, we actually have more technology.
And we have a chance to stand up against.
We may have a chance. Yeah,
I like how that was like a revelation that they had to come to. It's like, oh, they weren't technologically advanced. They just knew how to do this one thing that we forgot.
Yeah,
We're actually way more advanced than they are.
Was that awesome?
Yeah.
And it was awesome because they're figuring out how to use it and harness it like true technology.
Yeah.
And in the past, it was all just
mystic magic.
Yeah.
It reminds me because I like to draw everything back to real life. It reminds me a little bit of how we feel about the Mayans. It's just like, they were so much more advanced. It's like, no, they maybe knew
they had a calendar.
They might have known more than the stars about the stars than us, but like
they thought the world was going to end in 2012. So
look at this Mexican over here, he's so angry.
He's just mad because his calendar's wrong.
Or maybe it's too complex and you can't understand it, bitch.
Yeah.
Right, just like shard plate. We don't understand shard plate yet.
That's very true.
Although we have half shards, so we're getting there. So I said we like it's factual. I'm in that world.
Should we go?
I think I've been reading too much Stormlight. Jesus. All right.
I use my shard plate to serve food.
Yes.
Jim was like, let me take another sip from my shard gem.
I'm drinking violet wine.
Thank God.
Did you guys like the little intro in the chapters where they described the different types of alcohol?
Loved it.
Awesome.
Loved it.
I don't remember that one.
Dude, they described where the wines come from and then what types of what they call wine is actually whiskey.
How the Alethi think of them too.
Even I remember this.
It was not in the last part. It was not in part 4.
No, it was somewhere in there.
It was in an earlier section of the book.
I just we didn't comment on it.
No,
yet.
we didn't.
I remember that. But.
So anyway, they all get to the battlefield. They have their Avengers moment, and some amazing battles happen finally. Jesus Christ! First of all, now we'll get back to Yesna for Im the Dream because Yesna opens up a can of whoop ass all over the battlefield, literally everywhere.
She single-handedly holds the line, as they say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's not take a lot away from Shallan.
Her and Shallan did like.
That's true.
I just think that Sanderson's a huge feminist because legitimately these women characters were like badass bitches.
Yeah. Well, I feel like sometimes the definition of a feminist is just being a human. It's like, yeah, of course, women are awesome.
Badass humans are badass humans.
Well, and
of any type,
also,
any genes,
people
any
are
sex,
capable of being
whatever.
awesome.
Well, and it's not getting kind of just like lost in this whole thing where half of the original heralds were women. It was 5 and 5, and now it's not like just this male-dominated like kind of.
But didn't they also describe, and I don't know, maybe I am remembering this wrong as usual, but didn't they also describe like it was almost like kind of like a trade-off? Like didn't they say like, oh, they gave up this
women
for the
got
ability
literature
to
at the very end?
right.
Yeah, he said
Women lost
at the
shard
very
blades,
end.
but they took literature. And
he's like, who's got the better deal?
Yeah, what is the better deal?
Well, but the thing is though, is that like
at one point it might not have been a better deal because remember they were talking about Dalinar's greatest fear is that these bureaucrats, these people that can write and like talk their way out of situations could run the world. That was his biggest fear.
So your allies are good.
There could have been a point in time where that was the better deal. They're like, oh, we're gonna do this, and you guys are gonna be the freaking dumbasses that go and fight for us.
Well,
but then think they realized the power that those shard blades had. I mean, I don't know.
I think it was just an evolution of culture.
Shard blades are super powerful. Yeah, and it's super obvious what the power is,
right?
And how they can dominate a battlefield. But the written word, describe history, and like give it to other people, it's not obvious. It's there. And it shapes them.
And it's really powerful.
I feel like it's the really smarter power. It's less obvious, but it's just as powerful.
But I really feel...
Yeah, it's a 50-50 trade-off, I think.
Yeah, I really feel, too, that is what
Which is why Dalinar's all like, all right, now I want to also learn how to read. Yeah. I want it all, bitch.
Well, I think the thing is that's a change in the reality that they digressed. Because what happened is there didn't used to be that division. And then in their 4,000 years, though they made great advances, culturally they made some weird divisions.
Definitely.
So we, I think that they kind of... I think that they're going to get back to kind of fusing it all and making it a whole.
Yeah,
that's probably good.
Unite them.
Yeah, unite them. That's probably a good point in time for us to take another break since we're at our time, and we will cheers, and then we will get back to episode 23, part 3.
Oh yeah!
Cheers, Gonjo.
Kill them.
Let's just fight them. They're evil. What are you doing? Did you give your royalty?
Don't you want to kill some evil today?
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.